everybody. Welcome back. You're tuned in to episode 99 of the Jagged Edge. It's Ian here with Chris.
San Diego Comic-Con 2019, also known as MCU Pwns Your Ass.
I was about to say Marvel Edition.
My God. They skip a year and then they're like, just overload. But
back with the vengeance.
Bunch of stuff. We are actually going to talk about a comic, too. But that is... Isn't that crazy?
It seems kind of weird these days. Like you don't talk about comic books for Comic-Con, but
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I do remember. I remember
back in
when
your day,
Comic-Con was about comic books. And no, we got a bunch of trailers. We're going to talk about a bunch of movies, TV shows, Marvel Phase 4, all of it as they released all of it, and interesting to see what kind of dynamic they're going with that. And we're going to talk about a comic, and we're going to talk about a game.
There we go.
Yeah, comics and games and superhero movies and other cool stuff. It's like an episode of the Jagged Edge. Hey, it is.
All that good nerd stuff is right here. Hey, right at the top of our list, here's an old classic, although it didn't take my breath away yet, because I haven't seen the movie. But Top Gun. We got a trailer for Top Gun.
Top Gun Maverick.
Tom Cruise showed up.
Not impressed.
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes, but he did. He showed up at Comic-Con, and for some reason, he graced the people with his presence.
He did.
He took himself out of his containment chambers because that's important because he ages when he's out of the containment chamber. So,
oh lordy, this is man. When I think of a film that sort of, I don't even know if I'm saying define the time, but like you just.
Oh, it did.
I'm not going too far with that.
No, as an 80s kid, it
80s,
did. Yeah. This in like Star Wars and Ghostbusters. That was the 80s.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Top Gun is just one of. I mean, it's the breakout movie for Tom, effectively. Now it's funny, some of the info is being pushed for this. You know about the high definition is being shot in. It's like 6K. Although we struggle to see. You don't even see in 4K. So I'm not. That's never the thing that sells me a whole lot. What looks cool so far is something like the aviation choreography and all the stuff they've done with that. Obviously, they're working, with the military to look at what they actually do with maneuvers and stuff like this. So, if you really like Top Gun, if you're just a big aviation head, you dig this kind of stuff, this could be right up your alley. So
Yeah, so, I mean, back in the 80s, and you didn't know this at the time, when you get a contract with all the different pages and all the words, you just sign it, right?
You don't read the fine print.
Apparently, as a kid in the 80s, and since I actually remember when this movie came out and hit the theaters, I, at some point, signed a contract saying I will go see the sequel. So, I'm really not, and I say that, obviously, because, I'm not really interested, but I feel as though I have to see this. Yeah. And that is just the 80s programming that was the 80s entertainment back then. It was like, I have to see it. I will. I'm not. It looks exactly how I thought it was going to look from what little we saw. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not wowed in the slightest. And I could give, I don't know. Oh, wait, no, zero shits as to the 6K stuff. Because that's like, saying that you're upgrading from VHS to Laserdisc. It's like DVD's right around the corner, and it's all right, whatever.
I think there's some potential for some really cool dogfight films. There was some shots rather. There was a really cool moment of the fighter sort of like dipping upside down and over, and then going like down a mountain range. That was pretty cool. Are
they going to actually touch on the fact that basically guys like Maverick are being replaced by kids with a keyboard and a joystick?
I think they are.
All right.
I think they are.
They do seem like they're touching on that a little bit, but, whatever. That's cool. I mean, out of the Tom Cruise movies, and I get the hype, and I understand how big Top Gun was in the 80s, but out of, like, the many 80s Tom Cruise movies, I mean, personally for me, I would have loved to have seen a sequel to Legends. We'll never see that.
Yeah.
But I get it. I'm just not, I don't know. I'm not hopping on the train, but I will go see it in the theater eventually. So, yeah. Sure.
All right. Right up next in the queue, we got It Chapter 2. We got the final trailer for that. you're gonna have to share me your thoughts here. You know me, aka the non-it guy.
Well, the non-scary guy.
Yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, it looks cool. I have not seen It Chapter 1. That being said, I loved the It miniseries from was it late 80s? No, early 90s, I think it was,
Hmm.
with John Ritter and the bunch. A great story. I mean, Stephen King in his stories, I will actually delve in a little bit with some wikis and stuff, and the whole It story is very interesting. I plan on seeing this in the theater. I will watch Chapter 1 before I do. It looks really cool. I think they did a really good job of, in this trailer, this is the final trailer we're talking about that came out for Comic-Con, really
Right.
grasping, and I think they did a good job, from what I've seen of Chapter 1, they've done a good job of grasping the fear of this character,
Yeah.
which is actually what It is all about. And they did a good job with it before, and they've done a good job with it by the looks of it this time. That's all right, Ian. I will see this and tell you. I know you won't.
I won't. Hey, but there's some it's a good cast. I mean, I was already pretty stoked that McAvoy, we got him here,
Mm.
so already a good sign. But no, the trailer looks solid to this, man.
It does. It does. That creepy clowns. I'm not scared of clowns, but like if I was a kid and that was the first clown I saw, I might have grown up being scared of clowns.
See, this is what would have done it. So
That is definitely nightmare fuel.
yeah, you don't like him. No, I think my man first exposure to clowns, man. I think back to the days of In Living Color. Remember, Homie?
Yes, Homie the
Yep,
Clown.
Homie the Clown with the sock.
Homie
Man.
don't play that.
Homie don't play that.
Smack.
Exactly. Like when I think of clowns, that's what I think of. So,
That's what you think.
so
There's something to that portrayal, I think, too.
yeah,
And most people who work as clowns, or some people that work as clowns. I'm sure some people are very professional and love their work, and
oh
there
yeah.
are those who could give zero shits about what they're doing and are just doing it for paycheck. And Homie don't play that.
Right on. Oh man, right along the line here, we got the Jay and Silent Bob reboot trailer.
Yes.
Man, this was a Comic-Con chock full of trailers, and actually my head was kind of spinning trying to keep up with all of them. There were still a few I missed even before we sat down and did this review. This actually being one of them. So, but
I believe this has the last movie appearance of Stan Lee is in this movie.
holy crap! Holy crap!
Um, Jay and Silent Bob. This looks fine. This is I mean, again, I'm a teenager of the '90s, so I mean, Kevin Smith stuff. I love it. Great stuff. Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob, all that stuff. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it looks fine. It looks like a lot of fun. Kevin Smith stuff can be very hit or miss.
Yeah.
This looks like it's going to hit enough to
Right.
where it'll be really enjoyable. As you can see, there's 10,000 cameos in there. You got Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, who will almost always be in a Kevin Smith movie.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of others. When they did Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, I believe these movies tend to poke fun at pop culture enough to where it's really enjoyable. This looks like it could be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, it pokes fun of it, but at the same time, it revels in it.
Yeah.
So, it's probably going to be very similar. It looks like it will be. Yeah, this will be fun. Are you going to go see this? Because when we had talked about this, you had not. You're like, Jay and what?
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking
So-
about? I would check this out. It's funny. It looks funny at least.
Yeah. No, you should. I think you would enjoy that part of our nerd culture that you somehow missed.
You know what? And I think just with the grounds, everything's covering. I mean, come on, man. I mean, from the Power Rangers style sets to all the wackiness, there's a certain piece of like, comic shop nerddom to 90s stuff to today that just it makes you smile.
You've actually not seen Clerks, right?
Right, I haven't.
You need to. I don't even know how you got your nerd card. Considering your age, if you're like younger,
Right.
If you're in your late teens or you're in your early 20s, you actually get the pass because it was that part of the culture to where you came in young enough and passed it. But you, sir, are not that
I
young.
don't. I know. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
you
have that
need to
excuse.
see that. Yeah, you need to see that movie.
No.
I get it. You were probably 7 or 8 or so when it came out, but you need to see it.
Cool. Look good. Next up on our list was the Watchmen trailer.
Finally a trailer for this.
About time.
So, okay, it's and I spent a good, probably more time than I should have, trying to clear this up. It's my understanding that this TV show, this HBO TV show, is a continuation from the comic book.
Yes.
And not the movie.
Right.
And a lot of people want to say it's from the movie. It is not. It's a continuation of the story from the comic book. So let's get that cleared up for anybody who's watching this and wondering about this stuff. That is the continuity that you're following. Now, is it actually canon to the comic? Because that's like almost holy grail stuff, the Watchmen comic.
It is.
That I'm not sure, but this TV show is continuing from the comic book, and basically, it's what a lot of people thought. Ozymandias' plan to rally the world together by destroying New York and lies and the deception failed.
Right.
It failed mainly because of Rorschach's. He sent his journal out so that people knew what was going on, despite his death. Had sent out his journal because Rorschach, could love him or hate him, he's a smart son of a bitch.
Yeah, he is.
And what you have is a world, I think, that takes place near modern day, that has grown, obviously. And I mean, even in the world of the Watchmen, what's happened in that world, you're definitely delving into a far off alternate reality.
Right.
But it is a continuation of that world, at least going into the earliest 20th century or 21st century. And you've got a lot of Rorschach cultists. You've got a lot of superhero and vigilante. What would you say is the right word here? A lot of people still believe in that, or at least it's making a resurgence.
Right. I mean, vigilante sums up a lot, honestly. Yeah. Like you've got basically a lot of disparate factions.
Right. If you're not really sure about what's going on, basically, American, or I should say, the USA as a democracy has long been dead. Which happens with Nixon getting, I think, his third. They talk about it in the comic and even in the movie. Nixon's on his third or fourth term as president. Democracy is a joke. But you have this world with superheroes, and they try to do what they can, but no one's really superpowered except for Dr. Manhattan.
Right.
Who they very slightly tease that when Dr. Manhattan shows up, all these people that think they're badass superheroes are going to get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny because you don't have superheroes. You have vigilantes, and then you've got one guy with, like, unlimited power.
Yep.
And, it looks great. It looks great. I'm not a huge Watcher guy. I respect it for what it's done for for comic books and what it's done for the culture. This looks great, though. I'm very interested to see what the first couple episodes are like.
Sure. No, I mean, and following up after something, I mean, as iconic as the comic series, I mean, it's already had a great reception. I think just since this was posted on July 20th, the trailer alone's got over 5 million views to it.
Yeah.
Really cool jump off. And it's HBO specials. Be fun.
So there's going to be lots of boobs and penises.
Yep. If you were, I mean, at par for the course, man. I mean, if you used HBO,
it's HBO.
They were never ones for the restraining censor. So
no. Game of Thrones is your perfect example of that, and there's many others, but that is your most recent. But with Dr. Manhattan, there's going to be lots of blue penis.
Peggy 12. No, it's more like Peggy NC-17. I don't know.
Yeah.
Moving right on, we got finally got a trailer for The Witcher here, seeing what Superman's been up to since jumping out of the DC and into Netflix. Or should I say clean shaven Witcher?
Yeah, no, I think that's just me, man. I think that's just me. That's because I'm not huge on The Witcher.
Yeah.
I just never really got around to playing him. But it threw me off because my personal experience with The Witcher is from Soul Calibur 6, and he's definitely got the scruff going.
Yep.
And he looks almost like baby face non-shaven
Mm.
in this. But besides that, it looks great.
Yeah, I haven't actually gone through the Witcher games from start to finish, but from what I have seen, whether that be cinematics, playthroughs, and whatnot, I mean that this captures the environment, like as far as the feel, the vibe, this what we see, in this world. Um, and I do like that it looks like we're gonna get a chance to explore not just Geralt himself, but everything around him, what he's dealing with. Some of that whole faction, power play, the politics and the intrigue. I think that can really lend Witcher a lot. My one concern was, if you got too involved with Geralt and everything Geralt, you could really just turn into a running slasher and not really get too fussed with other details. But with the whole intrigue angle, I think this can be pretty cool. I'm definitely going to tune into this when it hits. So.
Yeah, I will be checking it out as well. And I hope it all goes really well for anything else for Henry Cavill, who is just one of those actors who just wants to delve into, in this case, fantasy culture, but be it fantasy or comics or sci-fi, he's really just wanted to get into a genre, or an IP with a really strong base of fans, and he's wanted to do them justice.
Yep.
And obviously he couldn't quite make that happen with DC with DCU. So I mean, that's a lot of what makes him tick. At least with what he's trying to do right now in his career. So I hope that I hope it works out.
Right.
You can't help but to appreciate an actor like that who just wants to do it that much for the fans too.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, right? So good at the best intentions, hey, wishing him well, wishing the series well, and we'll see where it goes. So
speaking of hardcore fans.
Yes. All right. This is one that, oh man, we had a separate recording for this way back.
Yeah.
We looked at it and then we scrapped some stuff for it because of the announcements and everything we talked about it. Yeah. It's a really big deal though. A good while back we were talking about a brand new release focusing on Jean-Luc Picard from Next Generation, and immediately Chris and I were stoked about, oh my god, like, are we finally going to get a follow up to where Next Generation left off, the films and everything? And then we backed off it based off
rightfully so.
Based off where things set.
Yeah, we started to find out exactly where where certain sections of the Star Trek IP are owned and who has them, and what we're actually going to be able to see and what we won't be able to see from this. I would like to say that this trailer blew the doors off of that. I don't think it did though, but clearly there has been some kind of deal made, because the biggest thing is that the people who own CBS, who owns the rights to Star Trek, the TV show, do not own the rights to the movies. And there was a big question of what can they use then, because the last time we saw these characters was in 4 movies.
Yep.
This thing starts off right away talking about how affected Picard was by Data giving his life to save him, which
immediately just made me fist pump.
Yes, it means that to at least some effect, what's happened to these characters when we literally last saw them is playing a heavy role here. And the big question of that is, okay, well, if they can't talk about the stuff that happened in the movies, how much justice can they really do to these characters and in this world? Right. Now, is that going to be the last we see of it? It might be. We in this trailer you get a little bit more from Data, which was awesome. Which, by the way, was totally a holodeck. Totally a holodeck. He was not actually playing a game of Data.
Right.
I don't believe that was obviously going to be a holodeck situation. This looks really good, and ever since the reboot, the Star Trek reboot, they've been taking things into a much more dramatic, and all the dramatic lighting effects and camera angles from a very low budget, stoic kind of perspective that we're used to.
Right.
And it's never quite fit right, and it almost feels like they're kind of trying to retcon things.
Yeah.
But this felt, and it's what I think it's what you and I have been saying for years. You're trying, like, for example, what's the current show that's on CBS Access?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. I can't remember the show.
Yeah.
But everybody knows what I'm talking about. The one that's on Access, and it takes place, what, 10 years roughly
Discovery.
before the Discovery. It takes
Got it.
place roughly 10 years before the first Star Trek show.
Mm.
And just the tech doesn't line up, the uniforms don't line up, the personality, it doesn't line up.
Right.
It doesn't feel right. But because they're actually continuing off in the furthest part of the timeline, the way things looked in this looked and felt right to me.
Yes, they did.
And that's, it's what we've been saying for years. This is what they've needed to do, is they need to continue on with the timeline. It's what people want.
Absolutely.
God forbid you give people what they want. Listen up, Lucasfilm. We're gonna drop some knowledge on you. Give people what they want. You don't necessarily give them everything that they're asking for, but you give them what they want. And people have wanted the continuation of the Next Generation timeline for forever.
And there's so much at play here, from especially, I mean, it can't be the importance of the Borg in this timeline cannot be overstated. I mean,
Well, and I don't think they are either. This looks very Borg heavy.
which I was overjoyed about the appearance of 7 and 9.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
7 and 9 was like my Voyager was my favorite out of the Next Generation shows.
Yeah.
7 and 9, and yes, because I was in my late teens and early 20s when that show was around. Oh my god, she's still like the sexiest woman ever.
Still beautiful.
It's, oh my god. But when I saw her there, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's not talking like herself. But it's been a long time. It's been like 20 years.
It has.
So she can evolve. That's fine.
Especially with the type of arc, the trajectory she was heading over Voyager, fully separating, from the collective and everything. I think that makes sense from going from that super, matter of factly, super well stated sense to just a much more casual way.
Very logical.
Yep.
It's interesting though, because it's not canon, but a lot of the books that led off after the TV shows and the movies, 7 or 9 was in a lot of fucking trouble.
Yeah.
Because she was a Borg, and a lot of people wanted to hang her ass for it.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see how far they delve with that, if they do at all, or what exactly. Maybe they took some of these books and turned them into canon, but almost unanimously, 7 and 9's future was one of a lot of issues with Starfleet because of that.
Right.
But now, depending on the story, sometimes she was fine. So I think in one of them she actually served some prison time.
Dang.
In some of them she was fine. In some of them she was an outlaw. Because she's like, nah, screw that. I just got this ship home. What are you talking about? I'm not going to serve any time. You check out Janeway's Starlog there. All that stuff I did. You're not putting me in jail. Some of them put her with, and I think this actually was at the end of the show, that her and Chakotay were going to be a thing, and they teased that at the end of the show, and then there's all kinds of different ways that it went. But it does look as though she's not as analytical as she once was, and
right.
that she's definitely, and just to comment, what are you doing here, Picard? Not even addressing him as a captain, which means they're both out of Starfleet.
Right.
Obviously. So what do you think about that? What do you think we're going to get here? So I don't know if it's Starfleet or not, but he's definitely looking like he's going to get himself a crew.
Yeah, most definitely. This really seems like a case of, I think, the past, even some of the present, finding him. I think rather than him going to, actively seek all of this out. I was kind of wondering, how that falls into place. And I think for someone like Picard, who has been so well traveled, who has had, I think, out of the captains that I just think of.
Oh my God, dude! There's no.
I don't think there's a comparison.
He's like lived multiple lifetimes.
He has,
through like different scenarios and stuff. I mean, it's no one could. I'm sorry if there's any old school fan. Sorry, Kirk does not.
Oh, I get. There's some people I get in arguments about this all the time who try to bring up Kirk, and I say no.
It's just
Picard.
It's there's a reason why they're making Star Trek Picard.
Thank you.
There's a reason for it. I would have to say though, although the 7 and 9 moment was pretty crazy, I think the part, and it was kind of funny because I realized what I was doing. I don't know who he was, but he basically says to Picard along the lines of "Be the captain they think you are."
Right.
And how Picard smiles. I smiled right along with him.
Yep.
I'm like, hell yeah.
No,
Hell yes.
I'm into that. I think as much of this sort of comes to him, as he's going to have a chance to influence it. The exciting part about it is not just what you see, but the unseen too. Now a Picard series is not going to be complete without an appearance from Q. I
Yeah.
think at some point. I mean, the way it
I
left
mean, I would
off.
love to. I would love to see it.
Yeah,
I'd love to
I
see
think
it,
we
but
can. I think there's a strong chance of it. But
yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so delving into this a little bit, into the nuts and bolts of what we're seeing, what do you think's going on? Like, obviously the Borg are somehow involved. They show a cube, but there's this chick.
right.
So who is, because he's like, if this is who I think it is, she's in a lot of danger. Do you think this is connected? Do you think what I came up with in my own basic? It's been so long since I've watched The Next Generation. I don't remember all the lore stuff, and I wasn't cute. I didn't delve into all the stuff. Anyways, what I came up with is that she is a clone that is meant to be a Borg queen.
Yeah, the vibe I got was this is sort of I actually was going Borg Queen, but I was thinking like this next generation of like clone experiments that she's like a really really important like hybrid basically got loose.
Okay,
Um,
she's obviously something that someone's created in a
yeah,
test. I get maybe not, but
maybe
clearly she's important to something, but
right.
she's in a lot of danger. That's what I came up with. It's because they're definitely hinting towards this involving the Borg, is that she's meant to be in case, and we saw it in the movies in Nemesis, where I think it was Nemesis. No, it was First Contact.
Hmm.
Yeah, First Contact. The Borg Queen gets killed.
Yep.
But then she's back. But then she's back in Voyager.
Yep.
So there's got to be something going on with that. I mean, that made the most sense to me. It was like they keep they keep some clones of the Borg Queen around, and in case one dies, break open glass and
You gotta have your hard drive backups, right?
yeah, exactly. It is. That's what it is. It's a backup on the flash drive. So that's what I was leaning towards. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Do you think that we're going to see anyone else from the show? Obviously, we're going to get something from Data.
Yep.
Do you think we'll see anyone else from the cast?
I would love to see Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, yeah. So do you think he's going to still be part of Starfleet? Or go back to Starfleet? It looks like he tries.
It's like what he's doing with this that doesn't feel like Starfleet in an official capacity.
Yeah, he's even got the thing on a couple times.
Yeah,
the pin,
yeah. So
which is just awesome.
I love it. I love it.
And it looks like he's got a very young crew.
Exactly. So
good.
yeah, it's exciting. I've
If they
wanted.
screw it up, I think I'm just gonna have to go and burn down CBS.
This is a series that I have ever since hearing about it first got uttered. I wanted to be so excited about. Really happy for it. Now that we got some more substance to this. This is shaping up, man. I mean,
It is. There's a lot of potential here. I think it would be safe to say we're about as excited as we were when we first heard of the announcement, which was like an hour after we recorded a show.
yeah.
And I called or texted you. I'm like, we got to go back and you got to add on to this show because they just announced this at what was it, Star Trek Celebration or something.
Yeah.
They had just announced it, and there's not been a lot of details coming out either. The one I like the most was that how he sat down with Jonathan Franks and like, yeah, we had a steak dinner and we talked about stuff, and it's like, oh my god. Did you have a steak dinner?
I mean, you just paint this scene. It's just like you're back on like the holodeck from like Next Generation. It's just like number one, and the Cap just sitting down, just shooting the breeze. It's great. It's great.
I wonder if they're sitting there eating their steak dinner if he just says, pass me the ketchup, number one.
Yeah.
At some point that happened.
They have to. They'd have to with that, man. That's too cool. It's too cool. So anybody listening to this that's a Star Trek fan, I really think this is something to be excited about, or at least follow closely.
Yeah, and then be massively disappointed.
Oh man.
I don't trust him, man. I remember one time I was talking to a friend of mine We love we grew up around it. We love Star Wars. We love Star Trek. We love Transformers. And he got all excited. He'd heard about the Star Trek news as well about a week or so later. And he said something on Facebook. I'm like, don't get too excited, man. You got to realize all of our favorite IPs are in all the wrong people's hands. So proceed with caution.
Yeah.
But I'll let myself be told because that trailer was awesome.
Yeah. Part of it is the enjoyment you get, I think, just from you get the first few inklings of this. There's some, I think, that celebrations that we've had that have fully delivered. I mean, some of the stuff we've seen from Marvel, of course, and while this is nowhere near in similar hands like that, I hope this goes an awesome direction too. So
yeah,
awesome.
We'll see.
We'll see. So, all right. So next up on our list is nowhere near as much gravity as what we just talked about, but we got a trailer here for Snowpiercer, and it looks like we've got Demi Moore. She's not just eyes and a brain this time, like we just saw in Alita. Demi. Wow, I said Demi Moore, didn't I? Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer Connelly.
That's all right.
Jennifer
you can
Connelly.
Actually be forgiven for that. They're all the same features.
My bad. Yeah.
Oh
man.
Okay, so you showed me that. Now we talked about this a while back, and now I remember. And again, I'm that guy with this, and not that I'm a huge, I'm not a huge fan of it. Anyways, although I very much enjoyed it. We talked about this when it was announced a while ago. I think it's going to be on TNT or TBS, one of the others. And I'd said my disappointment of this because what they need to do is they need to continue this off the movie.
Right.
And they're not. This is going to be a retelling of the movie, and then they're going to probably go in their own direction, I guess, at that point. Although I don't really understand how long they think that they can do a story about thousands of people stuck on a train.
Right.
I mean, you're going to run out of gas on that eventually, I think. Now, so you showed me this, and then you put me in check, and I put you back in check, and I showed you the trailer from the original Snowpiercer movie, which has got me all full of goosebumps again because the movie's so good. I don't know. I'll check this out. Because I want to.
Right.
I really wish they would have continued this off of the movie. I really do. And I get why they're trying to retell this. There's a story here that they can make a lot of money off of.
Right.
So, I don't know. I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be there. The original was better.
You pointed out the thing about Chris Evans. No, it was hilarious as we were starting to talk about this. I was mentioning, oh man, like Snowpiercer. You're like, yeah, I totally brought that up like tons of shows ago. So I'm looking back in my mind. Oh, okay, well. He's probably seen this trailer, right? And I'm like, there's a trailer for it at Comic-Con. No, I haven't seen that. I'm like, man, go watch the trailer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, man, that was funny.
It hasn't been on my radar because I know that they're retelling the story in the movie. And I'm not all that excited about it.
That's fair.
Jennifer Connelly's fine.
Sure.
Literally and figuratively, and it's kind of funny because in the trailer for the movie you can kind of see the role that she's playing, which was she was the chick with the glasses, the ugly chick with the glasses.
Right.
Annoying. That's what she's playing. They're obviously evolving that role into something more, which could be fine. I guess if you're going to do a long form TV show, that's where you'd want to tell that story from that perspective of the person who gets their hands and eyes and everything.
Definitely.
I think so. Talking about the movie, and I think that they'll try, whether they succeed or not, I don't know. But what they'll try to do is they'll try to tell the story that the movie did about. I mean, it's obviously a large metaphor on those all trapped in a train in different classes, and how there's the high class, the lower class, and oppression versus the haves and the have-nots. And it did a really good job of telling that story in a very dynamic and brutal way.
Yeah.
Can you do that in a long form fashion though, like this? I mean, life and death was fragile in the movie.
Yeah.
But you have recurring characters with contracts, and you want to string things out. We'll see. I'll definitely check out the first episode, and we'll see how it goes. But you were pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot you can say about a post-apocalyptic like Ice Age, and this group of people that's trying to just get through this utterly ridiculous situation, find some kind of way out, some kind of transport to something better. When you're dealing with negative 100 degree and more uh,
Yeah.
colds you're thinking about. So no, I think it's a really cool concept. I think that's the part I like about it most. I do just
Well,
want
just the fact that humanity is stuck in an ever-moving train is
yeah, right,
absolutely ridiculous and cool.
right. There's something almost steampunk esque that evokes.
Literally, steampunk.
You see what I did there? No,
Yeah.
just to reference when I brought this segment up, I was mentioning how Jennifer Connelly is not just eyes and brain this time. For those of you who didn't see it, I'm talking about Alita. Uh, that's
Literally,
yeah,
eyes in a
yeah,
brain.
literally.
The most
Um,
shocking part of that movie, I think.
it was. Please do yourself a favor and see it if you've not seen it. It was great, and it's one of the few times that you will see adaptation of a manga/anime film done right, Hollywood-wise. So that's just my 2 cents about it. Moving right along now, we got a cool little gem here. Literally a gem of something. This is old school of old school.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this on the way. We got a direct trailer for it, another trailer here because we had some info that already came out before Comic Con, but this is more of a kind
Yeah.
of behind the scenes. I think you coined this right. Very much Star Wars, like sort of like behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Look into this. That's the Dark Crystal
Yeah,
series.
to the point where I think that's even Mark Hamill talking at the very beginning of this trailer, who does voices for this show. If you didn't have enough reasons to watch Dark Crystal, yeah, he's going to be doing voiceover in this as well.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, very Force Awakens-esque as far as the behind the scene trailer that everybody saw back then. Very similar. This hits me right in the childhood. Not a lot of stuff does anymore, but I mean, just so endearing. I mean, I'm not only going to watch this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go over to Netflix headquarters and give them all a hug. I, it just looks so good.
This
I
is deep fantasy of deep fantasy.
yeah. I hope they do it justice. I really do. It looks like they're going to. It looks if they don't get the story right, which they possibly could completely screw it up. You can see the TLC in this.
You can.
And I think that's what gets me in the heart most of all. And Netflix typically will do this stuff right.
Right.
And it's just like it's so. I'm gonna send them flowers. And chocolate. I am. If they get this thing right, I'll be a stalker. I love you, Netflix. Why are you leaving?
Why is there a guy in a Godzilla costume?
That's
Outside? Yeah.
hold the flowers
Yeah.
and chocolates.
This right now, I think for something upcoming on Netflix, this is top of my list.
Yeah, well, did you watch Stranger Things season 3?
Not season 3. No.
No. Oh, have you watched some of it though?
I have watched some.
Season 3 was all right. It was good. It was solid. Just came out a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Cool.
No,
Cool.
you're right. I mean, especially. Well, I mean, did anybody even watch Jessica Jones season 3?
Not this guy.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there right now? And Netflix is not doing the best. They do need this. They're losing lots of money, I guess, right now. Yeah, which I don't know if that's warranted or not, but it's more of the hype than anything.
There's going to be some growing pains here as we go through this transition. I mean, Disney's streaming service, Disney Plus, is just looking to kick off with a fever pitch. And we're going to get into that soon here.
The mouse succeeds because the mouse plots.
Yep.
He makes his moves very strategically, and then next thing you know, he's checkmated your ass.
Yep. And then he's holding a Thanos-style knife saying, perfectly balanced as everything should be.
Perfectly balanced. That was a bad. I don't care if bad imitation. I don't care. I can see that though. I can totally see that freaking mouse balancing that knife on his finger.
I love it. So,
All right.
lots of cool stuff to look forward to. And last but not least, on our trailer roundup, we've got the Walking Dead movie, and there's not a whole lot to this trailer.
No, there's not.
In fact, you fill me in on the whole situation here about the departing helicopter and the side of it that we normally don't hear from, aka what happened in New York.
Which is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so there's a couple things here. Um, if you're new to the channel, I'm a massive Walking Dead fan, massive zombie fan. Uh, yes, I didn't cry when they killed Rick in issue 192. I did cry when they ended the whole run in issue 193, and you and I have not even talked about that, Ian.
Whoa.
The next issue, Kirkman ended the whole series.
Holy dude.
The Walking Dead is done. The Walking Dead comic is done. Um, so but we have the TV show. Well, you have these movies. So Rick lives on in these movies. When they originally announced the movies, they said they were going to be AMC TV movies, which is fine. This trailer tells you two things. The whole 25-second teaser that it is. One, it tells you that they're gonna at least originate in theaters. I think they're gonna start in theaters and maybe be released sometime just weeks after on TV. They may be a little bit more edited. I hope we're getting rated R. If we get rated R Walking Dead movies, then I think they've actually got a moneymaker on their hands.
Right.
And we'll get some TVMA version on AMC after. But so it told us that they're going to release in the theaters. I you know what? Part of me is pissed off about that because it is a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Part of me is not, because quite honestly, if they do it right, watching a Rick Grimes starred, Andrew Lincoln starred as Rick Grimes, a Walking Dead movie is a freaking dream come true.
Yeah.
So, and I think it'll bring in a mass audience. It has the potential of resurging the show into new ground. Now that being said, what I think a lot of people missed is that in this very quick teaser, they're showing a city skyline, and that's kind of a big deal because we learned through the show that living in the city is dangerous. And if you're living in a big city, there better be a good reason for it. And I think I can't tell you for sure, but given the distance, considering they picked him up in a helicopter in DC, what's the next super big city? Well, I guess it could be Philadelphia as well.
Sure.
I don't think it is, though. I think it's New York. I think they're going to New York, and the amount of stories that they could tell, if that is where they're actually taking this, is, I mean, that's nuts. That's nuts. I'm very excited for it. I'm not too happy that these are coming out in theater first, but if they're theater quality, if we're talking like another Inhumans thing,
Right.
straight up fuck you middle finger right there. not only am I not seeing this in theater, I will pirate it and I'll watch it on the internet and not even watch it on your TV on your channel.
Oh man.
So but if we're getting a theater quality release, rated R Walking Dead trilogy, we're getting a trilogy. They're making 3. If that's what we're getting, I'm so on board. I am so on board for this.
Good stuff. If you asked, you talked a little bit. I know you're gonna bounce it off. Has Jason said anything about this to you? I'm wondering, does he even?
We talked about it a little bit on our reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, we're excited for it.
Okay.
We're excited for the movies. I have not talked to him. So he went and finished college and then he got married and he's been on a honeymoon. So he's been a little busy. So I haven't talked. Besides,
he gets a pass.
He gets a pass. He does get a pass. But
Yeah.
It's been forever. I've not talked to him since Comic-Con, since the announcement of the movie and it being in theaters. We know that the movie's coming out next year. That's all, and we've known that, and that's all we've known, really.
Gotcha.
And that's still really all we know.
Oh, very little info.
Yeah,
But cool. What should look out for? So that's some of the top trailers we had. There's the crazy part is about this Comic-Con. There's still more out there. That doesn't even cover it all.
I think this is our miscellaneous section.
Yeah. That's just the mist. So I mean, just the breadth of this one. This was really worth tuning into. There's a couple of little pieces here I do want to talk about before we go into some of the crazy Hall H shenanigans that happened. Terminator: Dark Fate. It looks like
I think it's safe to say that's the movie everybody's loving to hate right now.
Yeah, there's been some you're mentioning some of the pre-screening stuff to this. What's coming? That this is not just this movie, but I think Terminator in general has just really been struggling to strike that right, iron in the forge to
Yep.
really ignite things, man. It's just not catching.
Terminator 3 was a tough movie. I've since watched it again. The they tried to be jokey. The soundtrack was god awful. It really just didn't have the feel.
Right.
And of course, that was the first one that was made without James Cameron. I think he was producing, maybe not even at that point. Then you had Salvation, and I understand a lot of people don't like Salvation, and there's some plot holes in that thing the size of a freaking black hole. But it's a fun action sci-fi movie. I enjoy it. It's my favorite of the ones after T2 by far.
Okay.
Genesis was just a god-awful mess.
I remember that.
Yeah. The thing about Genesis that really bugged me was Genesis kind of taught you, hey, nothing matters because we can just redo time.
Right.
Everything that you've seen doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And I remember walking out of the theater actually saying that, and my friends who I saw that with, they're like, "Oh my God, you're right." And that was like literally what bugged them about it too. They just couldn't put a head on. It's like, yeah, this movie teaches you that nothing matters because we can just redo everything. And not even just like this. Because what you get in Terminator 3 was you averted the apocalypse, you averted Skynet, but now they're trying again, and like there was like, so it's like a decade later, and now all the same things happening. You remember that?
Yeah.
Which was weird, but that wasn't even like Genesis was just like, it doesn't matter, we'll just go back in time again, and now you'll fight the T1 and the T2 at the right back to back, and it's what are you doing? And now there's like a what? John Connor's a metal robot liquid thing now? What? Get the fuck out of here.
Just no.
Yeah.
Just
so a lot of people are upset about this. James Cameron, he literally has his hands on this again to the point of not being an executive producer, but I think he is an executive producer, but we've talked about that before too. Executive producers can literally just be a name on the list, or they can be somebody who's digging. They're in the movie and they're moving things along. And in this case, we're at least being told by a lot of sources that James Cameron is very involved with where this movie is going. Tim Miller, who everybody loves, also loves to hate, director for Deadpool, but apparently, as a lot of the people who I do not like to listen to will say that he's gone woke. and they can't stand him, and there's a couple things that he said that have kind of irked me the wrong way, is directing this, and people are just like, what's up with a lot of the stuff in this movie? I don't care what they say. This new metal Terminator that can peel off its skin and make another Terminator, that looks awesome. That looks awesome. The actual Terminator in this movie looks good, but this movie's getting a lot of heat for a couple reasons. Warranted or not, a couple reasons. First one, they feel that it feels like a very woke movie.
Right.
If you again take that as their terms, not mine. But they're saying there's a lot of SJW garbage and whatever the hell and all that woke shit that people like to talk about and like to point that's a thing. We'll get into that in a second. The most important thing. Where the hell is John Connor?
Yeah, right.
Where the hell is John Connor? And we got an answer to that. We got a couple answers to that. Edward Furlong at Comic-Con was announced that he will be in the movie. Now, Edward Furlong, as I had pointed out to you while we were doing research for this show, has not had the best 30 years.
No, the guy's had a rough go of it after
yes.
Terminator 2. For those of you not familiar, he's the child star. He's about, 13 then, I think?
I think 11.
11. Okay, 11. Terminator 2 is being filmed. The young John Connor. Just a storm of life dramas and happenstance following that movie. So, but...
Yeah, no, he's up and down with drama and drugs and... Just, a life of what the hell happened to me. I was in one of the most famous movies ever.
Right.
What the hell happened to me? Oh, that's right. I starred in straight-to-video Crow 4. I think
you feel dated.
I think that sums it up, though, best. Is that he was the leading character in the straight-to-video The Crow 4. I hope I hope he plays a huge role. I hope they're hiding this, and he's
Yeah.
playing a huge role, and he's John fucking Connor. And he's gotten his stuff together. He's been like working out for the last year or whatever. He's and that's probably not what we're gonna get.
Right.
Rumors have been leaking for a while that most likely the scenario here is, even before this announcement, John Connor dies in the first 5 minutes, and that's why we don't see him, and that's kind of sets off why there's a new person they have to protect, and that the T-800 that we see in this movie is the one who actually killed John. But somehow grows a conscience and that is helping Sarah Connor. Should I have said spoilers?
This is
Spoilers.
This is almost one of those. It's almost like we should start treating spoilers like expiring like free use.
This could all be BS.
Yeah, it could be.
But there's multiple sources stating that this was happening, and that Edward Furlong being in this movie is him just giving his likeness. His actual, yes, you can use my likeness for the seconds that I'm on screen before the T-800 kills me, which apparently happens right after, in the storyline, right after T2.
Wow.
That another T-800 shows up, and you know what, guys? You know what? Just, why don't you, Hollywood just wants to take my role models from my developing years and just crush them like bugs.
John Connor has had the short end of the stick, like about
Forever.
as long as I can remember.
Yep. Yep. Forever.
Oh.
Forever. Ever since his conception, and he has to send his father back to the past to get killed,
Yep.
but conceive him first. He's had the short end of the stick since before he was born.
Oh man. Golly, man. So,
Do you think if that was any semblance of reality, that would just drive a person nuts?
Dude, yeah. I mean, if
You're gonna know your father very well. In fact, you're going to be his commander in the futuristic post-apocalyptic rebellion, where you then have to send your father to get killed. But first, he's going to screw your mom.
This is so jacked up.
But it's why people love it, because it is. It's jacked up in all the right ways, and they just, I think maybe they were right. I think, and I used to deny it, but I think at the end of the day, I think those who said they should have left it alone after T2, I think they might have ended up being right.
Yeah. There's some notes that are just hard to punctuate further on. I mean, T2 was like just such a soaring success for not just an action film, but for just Terminator, where it's set that immortalized it. I mean, to this day, when you think of Terminator, I mean, I know when I think of Terminator, that's one of the first things that comes to mind for me. So,
well, I think what a lot of the filmmakers have missed, not all of them, but a lot of them have missed, is that John Connor he's the glue.
Yeah.
He's the glue. And when you start taking him out of the equation, and again, that's when it's not working right. And the actor that they had playing him in Terminator 3 was horrible. I've never understood that decision making. And then turning him into the super cyborg evil John Connor in Genesis was shit. His who's the actor who played him in Salvation? The Batman guy.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
Christian Bale is not the problem with Terminator Salvation. What he's the best part of it, honestly.
Right.
And you get to see when he gets the scar on his face, and it's I think it's something where I think the John Connor missing in this movie is enough to tank this movie.
Yeah.
And I remember when the trailer came out, I'm like, where the hell is John Connor? And I wasn't surprised before that to have not heard an announcement on who was playing him, because I figured they were going to keep it secret, because I did not think it was going to be Edward Furlong. So, and, so, that Linda Hamilton's coming back and Arnold Schwarzenegger's coming back. So, well, they're not announcing anything because they're hiding the actor who's going to play John Connor.
Right.
And then we got a trailer, and it's like, oh, he's not even in here. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. But how much more awesome would it be to see not just Sarah Connor but John Connor both kicking Terminator's ass?
That'd be sick. That'd be
It
so
would be
sick.
what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? All right, I just saved your money. Give me your movie. Give me the money. Give me the money. I just saved your movie. I mean, how awesome would it be though? She gets out and she's got the grenade launcher, and he comes out with some freaking chain gun, going old school Terminator style. I mean, even hell, if you have to, even because they've always wanted to mess with him being a Terminator, give him a robot arm. Just give him a robot arm.
Sure.
I'll even take a robot arm from him. Give him a robot arm. Then that could explain how's he got a robot arm. Then you can kind of explain why there's a T-800 around this Arnold Schwarzenegger. He built him the robot arm.
Oh,
he was gonna kill him, but they stopped him. All right, give me more money. I got all your stuff right here. But all right, now as far as all this woke shit, shut up. You don't know yet. You could be right, but you could be wrong. That's really all I got to say about it.
No, that's all you need to say. I mean, we tend to get so head over heels for this stuff long before anything even hits. Predicting where it's going to be. I remember going through similar loops like this with Captain Marvel, and it's just get this out of here, man. Just, please. Like,
James Cameron has been staunchly against a lot of the
yes, he has.
A lot of the lady superheroes and lady leading roles that have been coming out as of late, saying that he had it right with Sarah Connor. He's not wrong on that point.
Mm-hmm.
But he's wrong about what a lot. Like, I remember last stuff came out with when Wonder Woman came out.
Yeah.
He said,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's wrong there.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong by saying that he was way ahead of the game with Sarah Connor. He really was.
Yeah. And
now Tim Miller, he's just, the way he's been shooting off his mouth on something, but he also made Deadpool. He earns the right for me to see this movie to make that judgment.
Yeah.
Him and James Cameron both. So shut up. And watch the movie. Shut up and watch the movie first. You could be right, you could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
But no John Connor, so it's gonna suck anyways.
Oh man.
The next Terminator movie is going to be Terminator 7. We're going to give this one more try.
We're going to give this one more try. One more time.
Yep.
So,
all right.
Other than that, real fast, something comic book related here.
Yeah.
The shot comic for a Comic Con. A little something teased here. You had an eye on, Chris. The Rise of Kylo Ren.
Oh boy.
Series. Whether you can't stand him or not from his start as Force Awakens and all that, you want to know a bit more about him. If you're into comics, this could very well be your chance to check more about that out. Now, who was doing the run again of this? Who's this being printed by? This is
Marvel.
It's Marvel stuff. Okay, cool.
It is. Oh yeah, that's all in house now. They don't have to do any of that stuff out of house.
There you go.
It's the Mouse House. So, yeah, this is being now a lot of the Star Wars stuff. A lot of people since Lucasfilm, or I should say since Disney took Marvel, Disney took Lucasfilm, bought it. Now they didn't take it; they didn't win it in a bet. Mm-mm. They bought it.
That's a funny scene.
Yeah, that would be funny. That in itself could be a movie. True story about how George Lucas lost Lucasfilm to the mouse. Ever since they've had Lucasfilm, they've been doing a lot of comic stuff too. A lot of people love the Darth Vader comic. The two big ones are Darth Vader and Poe Dameron. They've done a lot of short ones. There's also an ongoing Star Wars, I think takes place between episodes 4 and 5 that a lot of people have enjoyed. This is being done by the same people who does the Darth Vader comic. I wish I'd give them credit, but I had to rush on the notes. I don't remember the writer's name. Sorry. Oops. Yeah. Same guy, though. So if you're a fan, you should enjoy this. You should appreciate it to some level. This is going to be talking about how Kylo Ren turns into Kylo Ren. And I guess if you like the current canon, good on you.
There you go.
All right. Give me a 4-part series about how John Connor turns into John Connor. That's what I want, but who cares?
Oh, dude. Dude. Alas, I don't think you're ever going to see that one again. So, but all right. So we got that on the way. In if we're talking about, we're still in the vein of reviving stuff here, more origins and stuff like that. There's a series I'm thinking back here, Batman animated series in the '90s. I used to love that. I
Mm.
followed that up with the Batman Beyond. Although
Not as good,
not it wasn't as good. You're right. I
but still
wasn't
good.
I wasn't as dedicated to that as I was the original series. But yeah, it's just one that I really just hadn't put any thought to it in a long time. And hey, lo and behold, we get this announcement here at Comic Con for a remaster of the Batman Beyond series. That's going to be hitting this October. It's going to have a digital launch on the 15th. It's going to be out on Blu-ray on the 29th. And if you're a subscriber to DC Universe with their streaming service, you're going to be able to get a hold of this on August 23rd. So, am I going to go out the way in DC Universe? No. But it's going to be nice to have all of this in one place. I know I always really appreciated how, I mean, literally, like, straight up old Bruce Wayne from the animated series is really just becomes a mentor figure in this one. And then, where Terry goes and how he handles the mantle of Batman and stuff. It was a fun series. So,
It really was. It was good stuff.
yeah.
You watched the whole thing by the sounds of it. I caught it
Yeah.
from some pieces. I think the one that really sticks out to me is the story with the Joker and how the Joker comes back.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was nuts.
That was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I just looking up as we were getting into the subject, I just looked up Batman actors, and it's funny. You got the new guy who's going to be playing Robert Pattinson,
Yeah.
which by the way could be fine. It could be fine. We haven't had a chance to talk about that. That could be fine.
Could work.
It could work if he takes it seriously, which he's an actor who's shown they will. But this is the order of the actors. I just thought this was funny. So you have Robert Pattinson, Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, George Clooney, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and Adam West in that order from
There you
first
go.
to end. That's not right. That's not right. Adam West, then Michael Keaton. Sorry. How are you gonna end with? How are you gonna go Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, Adam West? This isn't alphabetical either. I don't think so, or maybe it is. No, it's not. Otherwise, Pattinson wouldn't be in front.
Right.
I just wanted to say that's Google. You type in Batman actor, that's what you get. It's not right. They need to switch that up.
Oh, man. Adam West Batman. That just, golly, this makes me smile. It's good times.
Right in the childhood. That and Dark Crystal. Dark
Yeah.
Crystal's kicking Adam West Batman's ass. So.
Yeah, it is.
Get a little skittish there eating Adam West Batman. But hey, this sounds like fun. Now, something that was said about this Batman Beyond series being released is that if it does well enough, they said, hey, maybe you'll get a season 5, which I think is BS.
Yeah, don't dangle
Yeah.
people like that, man. I'll be honest at this point. I'm not invested in Batman Beyond. It's like, oh my gosh, I want the chance of a season 5. No, it's fine. Just release the remaster, have it its own contained thing, leave it at that.
I think they're trying to work off the hype that's been around for the last few years, where people want to see a Batman Beyond live action movie.
I think
with
so.
Michael Keaton playing obviously Bruce Wayne / Batman. I think they're trying to toy with that, but that's what DC does.
Yeah.
DC's not right to their people. So, but just the fact that this is being released, I mean, it's still pretty cool.
No, it is.
Well, they did that a year ago with the Batman animated series,
Yes.
didn't they?
Yes.
Which, by the way, it can't be oversaid. Just the effect that had going from the 80s into the 90s.
Big
Batman, it's nuts.
Big time.
Just that, there's something to be said for the other movies that came after, but the first Batman movie and then the animated series. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that grabbed everybody too.
The Immortals. I still remember the intro for the animated series, man. Classic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beyond classic.
Yeah. No, nice tight story. You still got it. Yeah. and then the explosion and that pan up, man. Oh,
Yo.
good times. Good times. So, we've rounded the trailer corner. We talked a bit about some of the stuff that's going on in DC. We can't hold back the floodgates any longer. We're going to start transitioning the Marvel stuff just before getting to the madness that was Hall H this Comic Con. One little quick note about something that did get just a few more details. Now, we did see a reveal for this at E3 during
Yeah,
the
we did.
during the Square Enix presentation. Fans were not totally over the hill for this, and I think rightfully so. I mean, look at where we are. We're coming off of the hype of basically one of the biggest movies of all time.
Well, no, actually,
The biggest now.
movie of all time. It's official. It's officially made more money than Avatar worldwide.
Avengers Endgame. You have to understand the kind of gravity you're dealing with when that's the audience and crowd you're tapping into, and I think the sense of being a little detached from but that doesn't quite look like Cap. That doesn't quite feel like Iron Man. That doesn't look like Natasha.
Oh, it's like the backboard I would have expected from a bunch of dollar store generic versions.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
So what we got, they did at least delve a little bit more into some of the gameplay details with that. Now it doesn't look like graphically it's changed a whole lot. They had an interview I know with the cast that did each character, from that angle and stuff like that. But as far as for what we had, they got a chance to talk a little bit about the multiplayer factor. What you're going to be able to do. How it seems to me that there's going to be a choice. There's a singles player solo campaign that you can jump into, or you can split into doing sort of like the multiplayer mode for it. So,
but it's 4-player, right?
From at least from what I'm seeing, I don't even have that much of a detail yet. It's just multiplayer.
Okay. But it caps at 4 people.
Right, exactly. We have that much from E3. I mean, they haven't gone on too much further beyond that. But this is one of those games where I'm just kind of cross my fingers. Like, if they can get some stuff in order before this is released, this can still be good. I still
think it's amazing that Square Enix, which is, again, you're a huge fan, but I find them to be such a shallow company who spends such an gross amount of time on aesthetics, got this so wrong.
Yeah,
with this game.
Yeah,
Like, how did that make it past the first editor? How did that happen?
And this is not just about Infinity War or in game. I mean, from what we've had delivered from Marvel, we've had a consistent crew there for Avengers. I mean, since Avengers came about. I mean, you want to go back even further, since Iron Man kicked all this off, like a decade or so ago. It's not like you have a shortage of, reference material for that, or there was some kind of discontinuity in Marvel that would create such a fracture like that. No, we've had very stable, very committed, angles to that. So it is surprising. It's very surprising. I think a lot of people, especially Square fans, were surprised by that too. I think the best way to describe it was it's sort of
Captain America looks like a drunk.
Yeah, it feels like this was designed. Some of this was designed like in isolation.
Yeah.
From a lot of what we have in the film, and I, in a way, I understand wanting to establish a little bit of distance. Trying to keep your own story. Not being too close. But then you step into this sort of uncanny valley of being too separate.
There is actually something to be said for you have to have their likeness, their faces far enough away from the actor.
This is true.
That's actually a legal thing. You got nothing to worry about. You got nothing to worry about it. But that's not a real big concern. But
right.
that is something they have to be mindful of. I do hope they really fix the aesthetics on this because it looks bad. Yeah. Now, didn't they give a full roster?
Let me see here what they had. Again, they were just really going over gameplay. I didn't even see that. I'm still going off of what we had at E3. That was Iron Man, Hulk, Cap, Romanoff.
All your favorites.
All your favorites. Minus
the guys in
where's Hawkeye? That was gold. That was gold.
Oh, I don't. It just seemed like one of those perfect times where everything just kind of lined up, and nobody knew until the very moment it happened. We're gonna punk on this thing, for the whole time, and we're just we're gonna. I love it. Look, I
Yeah.
want a great Avengers game, but it's Square Enix and screw those guys. So, I'm loving it a bit too much. Um, I hope they get it. I hope they get it going here. Quite honestly, for any other reason, because I do hope this connects to the Spider-Man world we got last year.
Yeah.
And if it does, then I really want it to do very well, because I want that. I want there to be another MCU universe, but in games. That would be
Sure.
so cool.
That would rock. That would
Yeah.
rock. Don't forget to buy the Hawkeye DLC.
Oh my
Just
god.
gonna put that out there.
Uh, the four-player thing's got me excited though, because that feels like old school. That's like
No,
old
it
school
does.
arcade four-player action. I just get that vibe.
It does. That puts you back, the old like, console games before we those like the stuff you play in arcades, man. The Simpsons arcade, Turtles in Time,
Yeah.
the X-Men arcade. There's a certain age like in the 90s where that stuff was really really big and that can be awesome. I'm all about the couch co-op. So,
I remember the first time I saw the X-Men game, my older brother was like, "Hey, we gotta go to the arcade. You gotta check this out." And we go there, and he's like, "Look." And I had played the Simpsons game,
right.
um, and I'm like, What is this? Four-player X-Men. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this thing? And it was just nuts. And obviously I wasn't the only kid that lost their brain that day, because millions of kids must have, because then you got clone after clone after clone after clone.
Oh, you
So,
did. I mean, it was a really repeatable formula. I was in year or so ago. I was at Galloping Ghost arcade. I don't know if you've heard of that in Chicago area.
no.
It's one of the biggest arcades in the U.S. Like arcade cabinets, like just where they just have like a hall of stuff. I mean, we're going all the way back to when you had, I mean, shoot, man, like the Space Invaders arcades and stuff before that, all the way up to current Japanese arcade stuff. Never was released in the U.S. The Gun Con style games. If you could think of an arcade since being introduced in the arcade scene, it was there. And let me tell you, it was amazing to be in a spot that had all those old school fighting games, all the SNK games like the Fatal Furies, the King of Fighters, alongside X-Men and all the rest of that. Just kind of just seeing them all there together, catalog was like wow, there's like a whole era of this stuff. So, um, but no, if you're ever in the Chicago area, more like kind of like more out towards the burbs, look for Galloping Ghost arcade. You will love it because
Galloping. That sounds awesome.
you live this stuff, and I think you dig it. All right, so we're gonna shift it here. We're finally moving into the biggest things this year's Comic Con. If it was a silent year last year for Marvel, this was not the case this year.
No.
Been pointing at it all show. Hall H was just in hysterics. It was just unbelievable, and we got the full rollout here. Marvel Phase 4, what this is looking like post Endgame, where everything's at. We've already had Spider-Man Far From Home, and that is just the tip of the iceberg from all the awesome stuff we got here. Now, a key, just something general I want to note about this as we go through it, and it's just pretty interesting. It shows how hard Marvel's pushing the Disney streaming service too. That just isn't something extra or just on the side you're gonna watch. I mean, no, this is in the main lineup right alongside the film. So
Yeah.
Marvel is clearly making the pitch here. If you want to get the whole picture of this, if you want to see everything that's happening in this universe, what's happening in the new Disney streaming service and what's happening in the big screen is going to be critical. So,
Yep, yeah, I'm just bringing it up right now. So now we know why we're only getting 2 movies next year, because
Yeah.
we're getting a TV show.
yeah,
And that seems to be how they're going to be doing it. These TV shows, which apparently all look to be one-shots. Initially, we knew that the Hawkeye show was going to be a one-shot, but they're all one-shots,
Right.
from what I can tell. WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
yeah,
I think they're all going to be about 8 episodes each, but looking for a good thing here for the timeline.
for the
Let's
Phase 4
yeah,
timeline.
yeah. Do you mind if I just, before we get into the details of each movie, do you mind if I just, or each MCU IP?
Yeah,
Do you mind if I just give off the quick order?
yeah, sure.
All right, this is what we're going to be getting for the next couple years, and this is all the Phase 4. This is all of it. 10 IPs in all. In this order, starting with the next movie next year. Black Widow, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's on Disney Plus. Eternals, that's a movie. That's all next year, those three. Then you've got Shang-Chi, I believe I pronounced that right.
Yep.
And The Legend of the Ten Rings, WandaVision, which will be a TV show, and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
That already sounds wild.
I know, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the next year. Yeah, that's 2020. Or I'm sorry. No, that's
May 7th, 2021.
Yeah. So that's Eternals, Black Widow, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Eternals is 2020.
Yep.
Shang-Chi starts off 2021, and then WandaVision, and then Doctor Strange, and also Loki. Loki comes out in 2021 as well.
Yep.
And then this is then the What If comic. Now that's weird. Let's talk about that real quick. Well, actually, we'll get into the What If when we get to it. Then there's the What If animated show.
Yeah.
And then Hawkeye. That's all 2021. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's a whole lot in 2021.
Yeah, it is. So, shit. You got like six things that actually are a part of the MCU that are like core canon coming out in 2021.
Right.
You got 3 things coming out next year, 2 movies, and the one TV show, which is the one I'm looking forward to the most. Actually, that's not true. I think I'm looking forward to Hawkeye the most.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna really like that. Now, I just want to get the Beyond stuff out of the way,
Sure.
so we don't have to focus on this. Kevin Feige just at the end of probably the biggest H-Hall MCU stuff ever, just like, oh yeah, and then there's Blade and Fantastic Four and mutants. Whoa, just like barf out with the coolest stuff.
Just casually.
Jesus.
Like, God.
All right, so we've talked about this in private, and I'm going to say it on the show here for the first time. I'm going to put out my prediction. Keanu Reeves is playing Mr. Fantastic. Keanu Reeves is Reed Richards. I'm putting it down right now, and if I'm actually right, I want 1 million subscribers and a lot of money. But I made that call months ago, didn't I?
No, you did. You did.
I think at the end of that crappy robot movie he did. I was just like, you know what would be awesome?
Yeah. You came Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. They've been in talks.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves wants to be in the MCU, and I think that's the perfect twist, I think, to take Reed Richards and make him a character and make the Fantastic Four the biggest IP for the MCU going forward.
I think it'd be killer. I mean, you got to look at the faces who are starting to step into the MCU as well, besides who we've had. I mean, it was a huge deal here for, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but on Eternals, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Like,
I'm actually almost a little concerned about that because I've heard she does not play well with others, and the MCU is all about playing well.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I mean, in the same hand where there can be strong personalities, like, I got confidence that they can work there. I mean, look, apparently, you got to help me out here because I should not. This is a name I shouldn't be blanking on, but I am. Captain Marvel.
Oh, Brie Larson. Everybody's favorite actress.
She strikes me as one with a really strong personality. Even if you just notice some of the interactions between her, Chris Hemsworth, and Don Cheadle. I think just some of these little side talks, you can kind of tell, Hemsworth sort of playing things off, saying Cheadle, but she's a perfect example when it came up. You're talking about taking fan questions or like little fan things. Who do you think is the strongest Avenger? She's like, oh, well, clearly Captain Marvel's the best or whatever. But she's sort of dead serious about this in a vein to where Hemsworth and the others are just kind of playing it off. So I think, strong personalities in Marvel is not something new we've seen before. But like you said, she is known for having more of that kind of solo-esque outlook, and so we'll see how she does with the group. And and it's ironic because look at Eternals. I mean, it's all about this team of immortals. So
before we dig into that real quick, let me just say this.
Yeah.
The hottest chick on that stage was not Angelina Jolie. It was Salma Hayek. Good Lord.
Oh, Salma Hayek's always. Oh, she's always been beautiful.
Yeah, she's always been gorgeous. But I mean, she's taken whatever alien drug Tom Cruise has.
Alien drug.
because I mean she doesn't. Oh my god, I used to have the biggest crush on her.
Oh man. You know,
Okay. Well, anyways, I want to get past. So that's the Phase 4 stuff, and there was confusion on this
yeah,
because Blade, Fantastic Four, all the other stuff, the mutant stuff, but all the other things that they didn't even talk about. I mean, my God, man, the things they didn't talk about: Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
yeah,
Black Panther 2,
yeah.
um, whatever they're gonna do with Spider-Man, because they're gonna do more of that. That's not even in here.
It's crazy.
That's all in the future. But real quick, probably the most one of the more controversial. People loved this. Blade got announced. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
You and I have been talking about that for a while. We've wanted that for so long. I was not surprised that Wesley Snipes is not. Although that would have been cool, and there's a storyline from the comics where Wesley Snipes has a daughter and is training her, and I thought that would have been a good story. We're not getting that. We're getting a fresh reboot of this. Malashar Ali. Is that Is that how you pronounce it? What do you think? That's
cool. Cool with me.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. In a way, look, I've heard from the camp saying, "Oh man, Wesley Snipes are bust." Or
yeah, and I come on, guys. He's pushing. He's up there. He can't be doing this shit. All right? He can't. Look, Blade 1 was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. He's been in prison since then.
Yeah.
All right. You can't do the new Blade. And I'm not that guy. Obviously, I'm not that guy who's got to be Wesley Snipes, but you got to really do a good job casting this. This guy needs to put on like 50 pounds of muscle.
Blade.
He's way too small.
Yeah, Blade's got a pack.
Way too small.
He can by the time I think this rolls around. I think he'll roll into it. I was trying to dig into some of his other like iconography and stuff because I hadn't gone through too many films. I know
he was Cottonmouth, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, he was, and he's already had a couple of Academy Awards. You know.
Oh, he's a good actor. I remember him from all the way back. I think it was his first gig in 4400.
Yeah.
I was not a big fan. I thought he was a good actor, but
mm-hmm.
I wasn't a huge fan. I'm still not a huge fan. If he I mean, he's got to beef himself. I mean, he's got to be eating like 10 chickens a day plus kung fu. plus lift weights plus kung fu.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Blade is known as a martial arts character in the MCU. I'm nervous, man. I'm not a naysayer.
Right.
But I'm nervous.
Right.
He doesn't have the look. The thing that Blade does so well is that, I mean, dude, Wesley Snipes, that face.
Yeah.
That face and the way he portrayed it. And that's why people say Wesley Snipes are bust, because I mean that
the dude was Blade. Like,
yeah.
I still look at Wesley Snipes and I'm like, Blade. You know?
It's Blade.
Yeah.
You watch Dispensables 3 and it's like, oh, it's Blade's in there.
Yeah.
Is it Dispensable or Disposables?
No,
it's Disposables.
Yeah.
The Disposables 3. It's like, oh my gosh, look at that. Sylvester Stallone's got Blade now. And his favorite weapons are blades. They're knives.
Oh, wait, Expendables.
Expendables, whatever, disposables.
Disposable, whatever. You can get rid of them.
You get it. You know what I'm saying.
I know.
But I'm not there. I'm not. I agree with you. He can get there.
Yeah.
I am not there though. I am so not there with this role. And apparently he called up and said he wanted this role, and that's why they're moving forward with this the way that they are. Kind of shitty if the rumors we heard were true that Wesley Snipes was in talk with the MCU for years now.
Wow.
To try to get this going. I don't know all the details.
Sure.
I'm not there. I'm not there with it, and I'm very nervous. This is one of my favorite adaptation IPs ever. We said in a recent episode, Blade 1 still stands up.
Yes, it does.
Still stands up.
Yes, it does.
With today's current movies, and you could totally take that world and implant it in. And there's an opportunity missed in not doing that, but there's also opportunities starting fresh.
Yeah.
But I'm not there with this guy, not yet. Acting chops, yes.
Yep.
But just pure, looking like the character and kung fu. You need kung fu, sir, and you need to learn samurai swords. and you're not there yet.
Right,
You're not there
right.
yet. So I want to get that out of the way. Um, Fantastic Four stuff. I said that. Mutant stuff. Look, just don't shut up. No more. You said and mutant stuff. Okay, now shh.
just quiet. Just
Right.
let that sit for a while.
Yep. Don't even. Just okay. Good.
Oh,
You
man.
mentioned it. You mentioned it. Now shh.
Yep. And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna put some flowers on Old Man Logan's grave. Okay.
Unless it's Deadpool.
Unless it's Deadpool. Yeah.
Phase 5 Deadpool would be awesome. And if they do the thing like I said, where they like MCU, a bunch of moving guys come in wearing mouse hats and they pack up his stuff and then they move him back into an apartment that looks just like the one they moved him out of,
Oh, that'd be priceless.
that would be great. Deadpool, yes. Anything else? Shh. For years.
Yeah.
Shh. All right,
That's-
now let's talk about all this awesome space work.
All right. So, starting at the top of our list here, we hit on this. That's Black Widow. Again, this is May 1st of next year, 2020. This takes
No trailer.
No
Well,
trailer.
we didn't get a trailer.
you and I didn't see it. It's a closed door thing, and that's part of the novelty being able to attend Comic-Con. From what everybody's saying, this takes place in Budapest. This is during the era of Civil War, so we're jumping back in time a bit here, obviously. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I didn't think we were going to have a movie about her life inside of the,
Yeah.
Soul Gem. So
So this
Yeah.
apparently takes place in the 5-year gap
yeah, during
between
that
Infinity War and Endgame.
time. Now what's so cool for this, it's been revealed, is for the villain, it looks like Taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
That's awesome.
That's a perfect villain for her.
Yes, it is. It is. Everyone was pointing at some really intense, really cool action, especially a fight scene that was in a kitchen with Romanoff versus one of her who. Well, okay, I say this, but there's a theory in the wall right now that who she was fighting is going to be Taskmaster. That apparently Taskmaster gives off a kind of androgynous feel. You don't know exactly, who's on the other side of that coin. There's a couple people that she actually could be. So there's going to be, I think, some neat drama playing out with that, and I'm instantly taken to, some comparisons. I really want to see the scene now because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, from what everyone's describing with the whole Jason Bourne feel meets Marvel, I'm instantly taking my mind to some of the scenes from Atomic Blonde,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see how that stacks up here. So, yeah,
Apparently, we're going to get the explanation as to why Black Widow made the decision that she did when her and Hawkeye are getting the Soul Stone. So, what she finds out she's got cancer or something. I don't. You know what I'm pointing at.
yeah. No, I get you.
They're going to flesh that out. Not that they really needed to. But what this probably means, though, is that Black Widow's going to be a one and done, and she's going to actually be dead. I hope not.
Same.
Hope not. There's a perfect way to bring her back. All right, so that's our next movie. That's in 10 months?
Yeah.
Well, 10 months.
Hold on up.
Going to be a while.
Yeah, still got a bit. And then coming down the pike later that year, the movie lines. Now, before that, you're going to have, I shouldn't talk about Eternals yet. Let me pause and talk about Falcon Winter Soldier. That's going to be on the streaming series. And now there's
The first one
for Disney streaming service. Now, the interesting thing here is instantly where we're going to be put in is how is Captain America's legacy being carried on between these two characters. We had the symbolic handing off of the shield.
That was so neat.
The Falcon, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking about Falcon and Captain America.
Yeah.
I was talking about at H Hall when they were up there on stage.
And that too.
And, yeah.
That too.
Yeah. And he's like, here, you can hold it.
Yeah.
All right, give back. Give back now.
Oh man. Yeah,
Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo.
Main villain. He's going to actually wear the purple veil.
Sweet.
So that's going to be I think that might give some pointers as to where the story's heading.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've wondered about too was from the snap. What happens to these guys, these villains?
Yeah.
Like Abomination. Okay, if he wasn't snapped, well, we wondered about what happened with Abomination ever since Shield fell.
Yeah.
Like who the hell's keeping
Yeah,
the guy
who's
stronger than the Hulk at bay? But then like half the guards get snapped away. And I think you get a situation where Baron Zemo can get away though, or maybe he gets dusted, and then when he appears, he's not in the cell, or maybe like the prison he was in has been destroyed, and now he comes back, he blips back, and
Right.
hey, I'm free. Runs away. I'm gonna go destroy more superhero teams now. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of weird that you're gonna have Baron Zemo without Captain America, but you're kind of not. You kind of
Right.
are, but you're kind of not. So I trust them.
Same. Same. I think they've earned at least that much by this point. So yeah, you're gonna have that's gonna kick off the streaming services, and then going just a little further into the fall, you've got actually more like in winter season at that point, November 6, 2020. You're gonna have Eternals. There's a really interesting cast I want to focus on a little bit here. We talked a little bit earlier about Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie, some of those making this up, composing the team. Now we're gonna have the first deaf hero of the MCU here. She's gonna be played by actress Lauren Ridloff, who's actually deaf herself. I mean, of course, it's the best way to be genuine out of that. But really cool, really cool. I think how to deliver that. And again, one of the most exciting things I think about Marvel is their way to give us the unknown or characters we might be loosely familiar with, but introduce them into this awesome full scale, and so we get more familiar with them, we get attached to them. Like I don't think I've ever seen a long form series of movies where I'm constantly getting attached to such a running list of characters. I remember before Black Panther came out, I don't think this was just me. That felt like more of a kind of distant concept. A lot of people, man, who's Black Panther? A lot of people hadn't read the comics, they hadn't heard of it. They were, man, how's that going to work, in Marvel? And then look today. I mean, Wakanda, needs no introduction. So.
That threw me off. I had missed that she was in this movie. She is actually currently playing a character in The Walking Dead.
Oh, sick! Really?
As a deaf character as well. Yeah. As soon as you said that, and I'm like, gosh, that name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There she is. I don't know much about Eternals. I know it's like crazy Jack Kirby, super weirdness stuff, and I mean, it was really him just letting loose on being nuts.
Yeah.
And from what they said at Hall H is that's exactly what they're going to be going for here as well. So apparently they've been on Earth for 35,000 years, I think is the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you guys should have stepped up a little bit, I think, during the snap. You missed the boat. You missed the boat on this, but I whatever. I'm sure there's a reason for it. They're gonna, quite honestly, for characters they're going to be introducing here in the future, they're gonna have to come up with excuses why they didn't do anything. It's like, all right, Reed Richards, why didn't you do anything during the snap? Okay, Ghost Rider, why did you?
part of the fun about this, years from now, and just still going, is unpacking all of this. Yeah, like I said, why weren't you there? Like,
yeah, what's up, Blade?
Yeah, what's up, Blade?
Too busy hunting vampires? I'm pretty sure half of them died that day. You could have helped. You could have, go help a kid.
Unless you were one of them,
Yeah.
You got snapped too, but man.
That's the thing. They're going to be like, you snapped as well. That's
weak. You can only do that. You can only do that with so many. I don't think Marvel's going to take that route out with everyone. I don't think they can really to make a good story. So cool. Right after fall and winter season, like you pointed out earlier, kicking off in February, you have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Okay, now I'm pretty excited here because one thing, I don't know anything about this. Two, there's been
you and everybody else.
I know, right? And I think this is going to be one of those real breakouts. There were fans that are already pointing at those symbols, or whatever, the 10 rings,
with the Mandarin.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna finally get a true Mandarin story.
You're gonna get a true Mandarin story, and some of what's being pointed at in this film apparently has already been interwoven in some of the MCU movies we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So
going all the way back to Iron Man 1.
Oh yeah. So connecting the dots on that, I think that's going to be awesome. Also, some of the casting has been funny for this. There's a great, crazy story. for some of the lead on this. He had like the screen test Sunday. He
Hmm.
like gets the job on Tuesday, and then by the end of the week, you're at Comic Con, Hall H Sunday. Holy crap!
Yep. Yeah, I hope he's good.
Same.
I hear he's good. He's both for martial arts and for acting. I hear he's good,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I've not seen anything he's done. He's a virtual unknown.
right.
Um, all right, yeah. I mean, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. This is kind of older school Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Hey, we got a pretty weak kung fu showing with Iron Fist. So
true.
if this is going to be the movie's attempt at bringing us some kung fu stuff, I'm all for it.
Amen to that, man.
Broaden our horizons.
Yeah, there's room. There's an Iron Fist shaped
Yeah.
spot for that to happen. So, um, cool. But yeah, and right after that, you're gonna be back on the streaming services checking out WandaVision, aka the name you got such a problem with. I gotta admit,
Everybody has a problem.
I
with
gotta
this
admit,
name.
it's awkward.
It's stupid.
It's awkward. Really awkward. Man,
Dumb.
WandaVision.
WandaVision.
Vision. It's like I'm watching some kind of old '70s show. I don't know.
But I think that's intentional. So what I had heard initially was that this show takes place before Infinity War,
right.
which technically I guess it still does. This is going to be like a period piece taking place in several different times. All right, so one thing that we got confirmed, Vision's dead.
Right.
He's gone. Vision is done. This is somehow going to play into the multiverse stuff because Wanda will be in the Doctor Strange movie. So now that in itself, the Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange, oh, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Especially a pissed off Scarlet Witch.
Oh, dude, from
yeah,
what
be
she
careful
showed,
pissing her off.
holy cow, from what she showed in Endgame, man.
Yeah. So it's gonna tie in together the whole multiverse stuff. I really don't know much more than that, other than this is going to take place in several different periods. This I think lines up with what I'd heard and reported before about how they're going to be taking some stories from Marvel's comics past with these two characters and play them out. Beyond that, I don't really know much, other than, like I said, they announced it right there. She's going to be in Doctor Strange's movie as well,
Right.
which is going to be pretty cool. With the two of them, and I mean, because her whole ability is that she alters reality.
Exactly.
That's how her abilities work. And then obviously the multiverse of madness. With Doctor Strange. I mean,
Oh man, people were already sort of poking at the fringes, talking about the trailers for Spider-Man: Far From Home, of how that hinted, at least they believe that was hinting at the multiverse. We've had little things like that teased, but I think that we have enough concrete stuff. And we're probably gonna have even more by that point when we get there in the timeline. But I think we're starting to get enough on the table to actually start having a serious conversation about that. I mean, especially when you think of the consequences of certain things that happen. Like, I know I'm jumping a little bit, but it's connected to this. Loki. I really believe the Loki show that we're going to see is going to connect to that Loki we saw in Endgame. Now you've created this divergent branch where Loki gets out of being captured, sort of takes his chance, grabs the Tesseract, and hey, peace out.
yeah, no, that is going to be the Loki we get.
Yep. Yeah.
That's interesting thing about that. I mean, and what is there to say about let's at least acknowledge the Doctor Strange movie.
No,
It is
sure.
what it is. Talking about the multiverse stuff. I mean, they went most heavily into that. I mean, they're not just like, multiverse. Maybe there's a multiverse. Like, no, in fact, the sorcerers go into a multiverse to do stuff.
Yeah.
So, clearly there's been. I loved the bait and switch from the Spider-Man movie, though.
Same. Same.
He's like, oh, Spider-Verse and all different Spider-Man. And he's like, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. He's lying. He's lying to you. But yeah, Loki. So yeah, it was confirmed that this takes place. It's the Loki from Endgame. And the interesting thing that I think about that is that this is the Loki that had not learned his lessons. This is not the nice Loki, the anti-hero Loki that we got. This is, I'm the big bad guy from Avengers 1. The last thing that just happened was the Hulk picked me up by my leg and smashed me into the ground. I'm kind of pissed off about everything. Oh, look, there's a space stone. I'm out of here, Loki.
Yep.
So I think that's interesting. At the same time, it's kind of a shame because I really like the character that Loki turned into.
Same.
The conflicted Loki, the guy who wants to do well, but gosh, he just can't help doing bad.
Nope.
But that's not this Loki. This is Loki of I just tried to conquer the planet Earth, Loki. And I give no shits about it.
No, it's gonna be different, man. I mean, that casting of Loki, for me at least, almost lines up with something you'd see in the What If series. You know,
but this is canon.
But it's canon. It is
canon.
It is.
Loki's going around making multiverses, just creating new universes, just going around screwing everything up. He's gonna just screw it all up.
And one of the coolest things about a movie as epic as Avengers Endgame and the scope of it is seeing what the ramifications and what the fallout is from that for years to come. Because there's going to be echoes about this. I mean, not just the snap. I mean, that of course that's going to be overarching everything. But what's going to be happening in the new branches that have been created too. And part of me kind of wonders, it's cool because spoilers. We basically saw Cap complete his own time loop, that he caused. So it almost makes me wonder, are we going to explore some of those other branches of things like that get kind of inserted or corrected via time travel alone? Or how many individual looks are we going to take now as, all right, this alternate event happened. Now in some other, possibility of a different universe, now you're going to see a completely different reality. I just wonder how many times are we going to explore that? It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. So, nuts, man. Nuts.
Yeah, Loki. Gonna be doing Loki stuff.
Oh man,
that's all I got. That's all I got for Loki.
Cool. So, Doctor Strange, Loki just touched on the what if.
What if Ian smacked me in the face?
What if? No, more like. What if Chris still enjoyed Square Enix?
That is a what if.
That is a huge what if. I figured
that's a 25-year-old what if right there. Interesting to note that a lot of people were pointing out, gosh, there's people that just dissect these things. I mean, as much as we talk about them, people notice that there's zombies hidden in the what if logo.
That's so crazy.
Yep. But one of the things that I want them to do, look, I want these guys to do, I want them to do a one-shot. I want to do a one-shot, like, 3-hour movie of Marvel Zombies.
Ooh.
And just take intentionally make none of the characters, have the same actor. So you've got a different guy playing Spider-Man, Captain America, all of them, because they're all going to die. They're all going to get eaten. And, just have a zombie movie. Marvel's MCU zombie movie. How nuts would that be?
That would be wild, man.
It'd be so good. It would be so good. Oh my god, I want to cry. And then Blade comes and kills them all. And no, but yeah. So some people are, and that's because the Marvel zombie stuff, which was hugely popular, was born from a what if question.
Yeah.
So, but the what if is going to be I don't know how much of a what if we're going to see from this. It's going to be like a 30-minute animated cartoon.
Right.
It's cool that so many people are going to come back and reprise their roles for voice acting. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to just hold off on an episode, just watch one a week on Saturday mornings with my bowl of cereal. Like, all right, what if I ran out of Fruit Loops?
What if I
I'm still looking forward to this, though. And then I believe they've already announced the first episode is going to be what if Peggy Carter became Captain America? What if she got super serum?
Oh, man. Fun stuff to tool around with.
Yep.
I like it a lot. Sweet. So we've got that hanging, and then we've got Hawkeye. That's going to be fall 2021 on the Disney streaming service. Man, a lot to say here too. Now, I don't know if you've heard a little more than I have on this. I wonder, what are we going to be delving into? I'm assuming post in-game Hawkeye, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, tattoo sleeve Hawkeye.
Okay, and it would be a really good
Crazy
time.
haircut.
As I say, crazy
Hawkeye.
haircut. It'd be cool if they jump back a bit to sort of go through his transformation into Ronin.
Well, this is all about passing the torch. That was confirmed.
Yeah.
This is about Hawkeye retiring and Kate Hudson taking up the mantle.
Cool.
And so it'll be probably the last time we see Jeremy Renner play the character.
I would. I mean, it's probably a shoe-in that we'll at least get a glimpse at. What was some of his thinking during the snap, during those years, what things were like, and then just part of the whole mantle passing process and all. It's gonna be cool. I think there's a lot of good beefy lore and writing you can do with this. I think to really pull fans in.
My favorite thing about this is that Jeremy Renner was quoted years ago saying that he would love to do like a Netflix series for Hawkeye.
There you go.
And he's going to get it. He's going to get it. It's a limited series. It's going to be about 8 episodes, but you're going to really be able to delve into this character, which I think a lot of people want, but doesn't really quite fit to be able to do so on the big screen. And there's going to be a lot of purpose to this. Yeah, that would be cool to see. Maybe we get some flashbacks as to why he, what he was doing as Ronin and why he was doing it. And maybe he's retiring because, that's been kind of a running thing for the last few years now is Hawkeye's retiring. He's getting too old, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we get to see some more motivation as to why maybe he feels he can't really take the Hawkeye mantle anymore because he did turn into a murderous kind of psycho.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Lost his family and stuff. Maybe he feels he can't really wear that role anymore.
Right.
But, he can pass it along to somebody else. Looking forward to it. We're we're about more than 2 years away from that one, but it's fall of 2021. But yeah, I think that's on this list. That might be the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Good one to look forward to, man. I think content, just thinking about that and what that's going to mean for I'm more excited for that than I am Falcon in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that
honestly.
One's pretty good too, though. It's kind of funny because I think besides a couple of these on the list, I think the TV shows are what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
The Falcon and Winter Soldier, but Hawkeye as well. I mean, Hawkeye. I mean, him and Black Widow played in pretty important roles in the first phases because they were the humans looking at the beginning of this crazy freaking superhero world, but they grounded it. They grounded it in their own ways. And it played. It was pretty important because they were just fragile, normal people, and like you're superheroes and guys in robot suits and giant green Hulks smashing things around. It's like how do people fit in this world? And they both played that role well. We'll see.
Sweet.
I'm waiting. I'm holding all my excitement for the next one we talk about because there's a lot to talk about with the next one, the last one.
Okay. Last but not least, here it is, November 5th, 2021. Thor 4, aka Thor: Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. Shut up. Look. All right. Look. All right. Let me get ready here. I'm gonna get water.
Here comes the bib.
All right. I love the fact that they're breaking Kevin Feige's breaking his own rules by making another Thor movie.
Yes, he is.
They got somewhere with Ragnarok. Thor, the character, was reinvigorated across the board by the creators, by the fans, by everybody. Taika Waititi's a good director. And one of the things that I've said about Thor Ragnarok is that it's not a good technical movie at all.
Right.
It's actually really poorly edited. The directing's okay, but it's telling the way it tells its story is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the story it tells is fantastic. So Thor: Love and Thunder, we are going to get the story of Jane Foster becoming Thor. There's so much wrong with this. Let's start with and I was going to say let's start with the obvious, but there's two obvious points here. Yeah. So let's start with one of them. Natalie Portman's a horrible decision. You should have just recasted the character. Like I said when we were talking about this before the show, she reminds me of my bitchy older cousin.
Where did we leave her after Thor 2? Refresh my memory.
Her and Thor broke up.
Right. Where did she?
And we find that out in Avengers 2.
Right. But is she? Post having Infinity Stone removed her, is she just hanging out on Earth? There wasn't any.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
I know.
Yep. She's just hanging around. Um, and it's not that I have a problem with Jane Foster becoming Thor. I do in this universe,
Sure.
and we'll get to that in a minute. Natalie Portman, I get it. You're going back to her because she obviously played Jane Foster in the first two movies. You should just recast her. You've done it before. You can do it again.
Right.
I do not buy her as. I mean, you see her. You see her on the stage. Mjolnir is like a third of her size.
Yeah.
Which now, by the way, side note, how the hell is that hammer back?
Okay. Okay. Here's gonna be the fun nerd moment here. All right. I took that moment as a sort of like handoff, as not that we're going to see that hammer in the movie.
Okay.
I I could be wrong, and I'll have issues if that actually is brought up time from now and we actually do see the trailer and that is there. Okay, then I'm gonna be like, what the heck? What's that doing there? I thought it was just kind of like a symbolic gesture. You know, to me, it's like lifting like that hammer up. It was probably going to be something that will be fans will pick up on quicker than lifting a Stormbreaker up. Also, a
Mhm.
Stormbreaker would look even more ridiculous in that kind of scene. But you know what I'm talking.
Yeah, no, yeah, because that's like half her size.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now let me talk about this. Jane Foster, Natalie Portman,
Mhm.
who's a really good actress, and I was a big fan of her, even in her first movie, The Professional, which is one
Sure.
of my favorite movies. Her her reaction to, I mean, she has been in some of the biggest movies
Yeah,
ever.
she has.
She's in the Star Wars prequels. She's in Thor 1 and 2. She has a moment in Endgame, literally like something that she shot 5 years prior. But um, she has lashed out against the fandom.
Right.
She has lashed out about being part of Star Wars and being a part of Thor 1 and 2. Why is she being brought back? I have a problem with that. I don't normally
Yeah.
get into that stuff too much. You know, people talk about Brie Larson and all that. Shut up. Whatever.
Yeah.
It was fine. Captain Marvel is fine. She's fine. But she has directly pointed her middle finger at the fandom and said, "You guys ruined my movie career."
Well, crap.
What is she doing here? I've got a big problem with that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's personal for me. Now let's get back to the facts. Thor in the MCU is not given his power by his hammer. He's a god. I believe he's technically a demigod
Technically.
from Asgard. Now, Thor in the comics originally was given his power by the hammer.
Yes.
That has not been the way it's gone in the movies. In the first Thor, he gets his power. He gets his hammer and kind of his power stripped from him by Odin.
Yes, he does.
But then he gets them back because he proves himself to be worthy again.
Yes, he does.
Now, he has since lost his hammer. He's still Thor.
Yes.
He's still super strong. He's still got super endurance.
Yes.
So how is she going to turn in? Because it's been said she is going to be
Okay.
female Thor. How does that happen?
And Marvel is gonna have to, I think, do a few little circus flips about this to really show us how this fully works. Okay, so the way, and I'm going back to Thor 1, the way I interpret it, because the Mjolnir still has the engraving that whosoever wields his hammer is fine, where he shall inherit the power of Thor. And when we had this in the comics, when we had the new Thor that stepped up, the female Thor, I mean, this wasn't like a 120-pound Instagram model. I mean, we're talking mega powerful, like Amazon. I mean, really, really strong. Really, had all that power, translated to her, and was able to kind of transcend her sickness she was dealing with and stuff. What I'm wondering now is, all right, we've clearly seen it proven that at first when we had Thor introduced, with him drawing the lightning powers from the hammer, he has things stripped, by Odin and stuff. Later on, that goes out the window because Odin himself even says, like, you're way more powerful than you think, and you don't need that hammer to be what I know you are. And sure enough,
he just can't fly.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
He doesn't have the hammer.
Exactly. But like Thor is the thunder god, and when he steps into that and recognizes that, no, he doesn't need Mjolnir to give him that. So here's the thing: are they going to have their cake and eat it too? Is it going to be that if you become worthy and if you wield it, do you gain that or not? You know what? I think we can even look back as recent as Endgame for a little bit of insight on this. Okay, now, perfect example. Captain America doesn't do the guy didn't have anything to do with thunder powers. Okay,
Right.
he gets a hold of that hammer. All right, he doesn't have. Okay, it could just be a thing about use. He hasn't used it as long as Thor. He doesn't have the same experience. But the first thing that happens when he picks up that hammer is, by God, he starts bringing down lightning with it. Like he clearly gained that. Now the rest of it, the flight and stuff, that could just be a thing for experience and use. But when Cap gained that hammer, he's already superhuman. Okay, you didn't see a huge physical transformation in him. But the one thing I'm taking from that scene is, you get Mjolnir, you get lightning power.
Ian, that hammer's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Gone.
Yeah, it's gone. The question is,
this.
I know. The question is, which hammer is she gonna get?
She's gonna take evil Captain America's hammer. The hammer's gone. Look. All right. So here's the thing. So this stems from the Jane Foster Mighty Thor run in the comics. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't. It's kind of controversial. Jane Foster becomes Thor, female Thor, and Jane Foster is sick. She has cancer, so she stays as Thor. Because if she turns back to regular Jane Foster, her cancer will continue to kill her.
Right.
This gets, I don't know how this gets resolved. It does. Coinciding with this is you have the unworthy Thor. You have Odin's son. And he just goes through all kinds of stuff. He loses an arm, and he's got all these issues, and he becomes an unworthy Thor and stuff, and which was actually a really cool run. Recently, though, Marvel Comics has announced that they're going to be doing Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie is a character that goes all the way back to the 90s from Spawn.
Right.
And then Image I don't know all the details, but they idiotically lost the rights to that character, and Marvel took them.
Oof.
Yeah. So that's why, if you've ever wondered, if you're a casual comic fan, how can Marvel get away with having a character called Valkyrie that looks just like Valkyrie from Spawn? That's why. Because they took the rights. They took them. Image Comics lost them. But recently they've announced that Jane Foster is going to become Valkyrie. I don't know all the specifics to it, but that seems more fitting that she become her own character. Why aren't they doing that here?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No,
I don't like it.
It does feel weird. Like I said, there's gonna have to be some real backflips that happen with the hammer. I mean, Thor. I mean, dude, he's gone. I mean, it's not like he just left Stormbreaker sitting in Walmart for someone to go pick up.
He did the one time, but then he went right back and got it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I forgot this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, and like you said, I think it would cause more problems bringing in the old Mjolnir than just leaving that out. So I don't know about this, man.
I'm ready to stretch very far for the MCU and give them a lot of faith and a lot of trust. But this one,
it could well be. Check this out. It could well be, calling this now, that Thor becomes such an out of the box. So it becomes so experimental, becomes so far off track that it ends up biting in the butt eventually. And it could happen. I mean, it's been wild. Like, you look at Thor from the first Thor and look at Thor from Endgame. Just how much that character is transformed. Just where, Taika Waititi and where Chris Evans, has taken him and all that. And they love the off-the-wallness, and the fans have had fun with it and everything else. But, man, I wonder how far you can stretch that rubber band. I really do.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a hard sell for me. It really is.
Yeah.
It really, really is. But yeah, so Thor, Love and Thunder. A lot of people not too happy about this. They don't like the logo even.
Yeah.
But obviously because of Natalie Portman, they're not very happy about that either. A lot of people, especially the people who go to Comic-Con. I was surprised she got the ovation that she did. I think they were being nice.
Yeah.
Honestly. And people have been really happy that Thor has left that whole thing behind with Jane Foster and all that, and they moved on and they went in a different direction. All right, guys.
And then to also talking about how Valkyrie being on her hunt to find a queen, something like that. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh no, I missed it.
No, something that people are pointing to, and what a lot of Marvel fans are wondering. about this one is, indeed, are we, will we be seeing the first, LBGTQ, possibilities and like
Oh,
exploring
to
that
go find her
directly?
queen.
Yeah, for Queen
Okay.
in MCU
All
and stuff
right.
like. People have been talking about that too. Again, to me, stuff like that, it comes down to more like minor points. I'm looking at like, all right, you're saying that there's a new Thor stepping on the scene. There's two things I'm wondering about this movie. What we just talked about, the Jane Foster issue, but also I'm going to be really curious to look at how Valkyrie is handling her role, over her oversight as the new King of Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Asgardians, how they're getting along and what's working out on Earth and stuff. I'm really interested in that. I want to see more about it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm not. This is a hard one for me.
I
We'll
agree.
see.
I
Two and a
agree.
half years from now, we'll see it. But
Yeah,
all right, that's phase 4.
that's it.
No build up to a bigger story or anything. In this case, this is rebuilding foundation, is my understanding, and that's intentional.
Yeah,
And then, like we said, Blade, Fantastic Four,
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther. Wow, Phase 5 is already shaping up to be pretty special. But and then mutants. This is,
Just belch that out. Why don't you?
well,
No. But no, plenty here. Hey, look, those of you any of you out there who've been looking at Comic-Con coverage, what are your thoughts? Any of this from Marvel? Any of that stuff you've been really excited about, weren't excited about? Tell us. Let us know. Love to hear about it. So,
yeah.
cool. Other
All
than
right.
other than that, wow. I think that rounds the bend for Comic-Con, and you know what time it is? I got an info minute. All right. Yeah, Chris, it wouldn't feel right to leave this alone. We were talking about this a bit beforehand. I can't reach show 99 and just not have an info minute,
You gotta have an
especially with doing these all the time. Hey, I'm gonna throw this by you. Usually I ask this in the form of like, hey, Chris, have you ever? This is not gonna be that kind of question. I'm just gonna ask, quantum physics. What's the last coolest thing you heard about it, if
What's the
anything?
last coolest thing you heard about quantum? The Endgame, man.
I knew, I knew you'd have
Quantum
something when I said
physics.
that.
Ant-Man.
I
People
knew it.
going, Hulk going in time.
That's exactly where I would have gone with it. Same deal. So,
Quantum physics. Now, beyond that, beyond the MCU, Quantum Leap.
doom, doom,
Yeah.
doom.
80s,
Oh my
80s, I think,
gosh.
show. I think that made it into the 90s as well.
Oh yes, it did. I still remember that little jazzy theme. Oh my god, take me back.
Yep.
Well, before I start quantum leaping, before we jump back into a Marvel discussion, it's just a little snapshot of something real world, something actually really cool that happened recently concerning a quantum computer that, quote, for a split second made history go backward.
What?
So basically, this delves into, I know how many people here are into physics and things like that, but this delves into a lot of theoretical and also a lot of things we've heard before, like Schrodinger's theory of something existing in multiple states, and then once it's recognized, then that's the actual state that it actually is. There's more than what we're perceiving in that moment actually happened. A whole lot. I'm not gonna. It would take too much time to really have a larger discussion about that and unpack it all. But this is actually an article that's been in NYT, New York Times recently, and a few other spots, and I just thought this was actually pretty cool. So the idea behind this experiment, this was done at the Argonne National Laboratory. So the experiment was to try to demonstrate that if you reverse time even one quantum particle, even that amount of movement, about how crazy and almost insurmountable looking a task that is alone, but to do that, to show that this is actually possible. So the idea here is I think they took like the illustration of like scrambling an egg, for example. They're saying like the system comprising two particles is even more irreversible, like let alone the eggs themselves, like comprising billions of particles. If you break those down to like try to prepare an actual omelet. So the whole idea, what they delve into here, is that we tend to think of time as an arrow, like basically just pointing forward. As it starts in one location and just going straight ahead, and that's the only direction that you do go. Um, but when it comes to quantum computing, some stuff they've delved into here is that that arrow, it's not that doesn't take its direction not only from large numbers, but in quantum theory itself, that rules that whole rule has paradoxes to it. That even a single particle that can actually start to reverse its own track through time, what it's doing. So it's not just in that single direction; it can actually move the opposite direction as well. So the idea here was to uh, likening this whole challenge, thinking of like where an object would start and where it ended. Like like if you hit like a billiard, like you're playing pool, right? You hit it with like the stick, and you think of okay, how does this principle, how fast is it actually moving? How many spaces is this actually existing in? So you kind of see all the different avenues and lanes and possibilities we can talk about here. But to put it simply, into what they actually did with this is really just a baby step. What they did. So there was an IBM computer that was used in this. They called this theory that quantum supremacy. It only had 5 qubit bits to it. IBM devices had between 16 and 20 to them. But it was a 4-step experiment. The idea that first the qubit bits were all teed up in like initial state. Then the team tapped all the qubit bits together like a series of microwave like radio pulses to them. And that sort of nudged them from a simple state into something more complexity. And then after a millionth of a second, scientists they halted that phase. They call it the evolution program. They treated each of those qubit bits with another microwave pulse to try and reverse the phase and then ready them to back up to a more, pre-evolution, more youthful state of what they were before. And basically, when they turned what they're calling the evolution program back on, the qubit bits themselves went back to their original alignment, back to their own past. In effect, all those qubit bits that they'd lined up and just used, they got 1/1,000,000th of a second younger. So,
my God. Yeah, are you okay after explaining all that?
I'm okay. I really tried to break that down as simple as I could because it's actually a lot of reading to this, but I find this stuff insanely cool. I think it's insanely fascinating. It's just, yeah, even on a scale like that, I think it's just awesome.
And that's how we got the Mandela effect. Thank you, scientists, for creating endless rage arguments about who played in the movie Shazam. Thank you. And C-3PO's leg. Yeah. Thank you for that. Just because, just like Jeff Goldblum says, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. No, man, I couldn't agree more. I thought this whole thing was just nuts, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave you guys alone over there. I'm out of here later.
Not me. I'm gonna go over there with a bat and just trash all their stuff. Haven't you watched enough movies?
Don't mess with this.
Here we're gonna get aliens and fourth dimensional monsters and creatures that you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna let demons into this dimension, and
it's like don't do this. Don't.
You're gonna trap a man who has to live in other people's bodies for the rest of his life. Which, by the way, I saw this recently talking about all this. A Quantum Leap, he never makes it home.
He never gets home.
He never does.
Dude.
That's the ending of the show. He never makes it home.
Oh my God. That's dark.
I think this text at the end is like, and he never went back.
That's dark.
Yeah. He never, yeah. If that was real, he might still be floating around in other people's bodies and times right now. You see, I mean, he's an entity. He's not physical, so he's not aging.
Right.
And so if he dies, does he just like go to the next body? If like he, because he controls it, if he like blew his brains out,